Hey there YouTube, Corncob Piper coming at you on a Saturday evening. Hope everybody's having a great weekend so far. Sitting out here on the porch smoking out of one of my newer pipes. This is a pearwood pipe from a company called Pipemaster. They're located out of the UK. And I got this, they have an eBay store, probably a couple hundred different pipes that they offer. I picked this up for like 16 bucks US. I think it cost me like an extra 4 bucks to ship. So $20 pipe. It shipped pretty quick. $10 days from the time that I paid for it till the time it hit my door. So you know, I would recommend these guys if you're looking for, you know, I think this is a pretty cool looking pipe. It's got the nice rustication on it, little poker, smokes pretty well. I still prefer my cobs, but you know, this will do from time to time. I like to mix things up. And inside I have some Peter Stokkebye's luxury bullseye flake, which is you know, pretty decent in Virginia. It's not one of my favorites because it does bite me a little bit. You know, I prefer you know, the luxury twist flake to this, but it, you know, it's a good smoke. I don't know if I'll get more in the future. I like a Scudo a little better for the coin cut Virginia, but this will do for now. I got an ounce of it. So I'm going to go ahead and smoke it up. And the reason for my video for you tonight is this is a VR for DSGPipeSmoker's 200 sub giveaway. If you haven't checked out his channel, guys, he's got some great videos. I'm going to go ahead and post the link for you down below. If anything, at least go over there and congratulate him on the 200 subs. But I would encourage you to check out some of his videos as well. And if you like the channel, to go ahead and subscribe also. Obviously, if you're going to do a VR to him, you know, you're going to want to subscribe before you do that. So his question for the 200 sub giveaway is, what are your plans for St. Patrick's Day? And I'm going to go ahead and tell you what mine are. I've been planning my St. Patrick's Day for, you know, a little while now. A few months anyhow. Well, 6 months to be exact. And I'll get into why it's, you know, I have been planning so long. So first of all, a little background about my work. A lot of the clients that we have are international. So most of our dealings are international. Maybe 20 to 25% of our business is North America. Rest is international. So because of the time change, you know, time difference, you know, say most of Europe is 6 hours ahead. The UK's 5 hours ahead. But right now, at the current moment, we are dealing with clients in Australia. Australia is currently, for half of the country, 16 hours ahead. For Sydney, if you go over to the other coast in like Brisbane, they're like, or Perth, 12, 13 hours ahead. They don't do daylight savings time, so come next week when we do the daylight savings time, they'll only be like 15 hours ahead at that point. But anyway, long story short, because I deal with international clients, I go into the office fairly early. Most mornings I'm there by 4 or 5 in the morning, and I'm out usually 2, 3 in the afternoon. But because I'm dealing with Australia clients right now, I have to be in the office at like 2 in the morning to give me enough time to you know, contact them, which means I'm up 12:30 a.m. to the office by 2. I do this, you know, 5 days in a row. By come Friday, I'm just exhausted because I'm running on 4 or 5 hours of sleep, you know, each night, which just isn't enough. So I'm probably going to go to bed. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm probably going to go to bed pretty early on St. Patrick's Day. It's a Friday, so, you know, I'll probably be in bed by 8, 9 o'clock. But the nice part is I'm going to work probably like a 9-hour day on St. Patrick's Day, which means gets me off at work at like 11 in the morning. So there's a pretty cool beer bar down the road from where I work called World of Beer. They offer like 300 types of beer at this place. I think, you know, that's really all they sell. I believe you can get maybe like a few different wines, but it's basically all beer. So I've had a tradition for a long time on St. Patrick's Day, always going out and drinking a green beer. So get off work, I'm going to go to World of Beer here in Fort Myers, Florida. I'm going to have 1, maybe 2 green beers, head on home. A couple days prior to St. Patrick's Day, I'm going to go ahead and pick up a corned beef, you know, from Walmart or Publix, wherever it might be. I'm going to get home, I'm going to throw that in the crock pot with some cabbage that I've personally grown out of my garden. So I got a couple that are ready. I'm going to go cut those off, put the cabbage in there, add some carrots, potatoes, make myself a nice Irish jigs dinner. I only do this once a year on St. Patrick's Day. I love corned beef and cabbage, so you know, I'm really looking forward to eating those 2 things. And you know, after I get home and get the crock pot going, I have another little treat for myself, which has been a long time in the making. So if many of you don't know, I make my own whiskey, and about 6 months ago, I made a batch. I'll just give you a little quick history on different kinds of whiskeys. So for whiskey classifications, whiskey, Scotch, basically American whiskey, and then bourbon. Those are going to be the main 4 classifications for like a brown liquor. So American whiskey has to be made from at least 51% corn. So let's just take Jack Daniels, for instance. They use in their mix like 70%, I'm sorry, 80% corn, and then 10% barley, 10% of rye, which is traditionally how most American whiskeys are made. And then they're aged for a minimum of 2 years in a oak barrels. Now, say, you know, most American whiskeys are aged in a charred oak barrel, and that's classified as an American whiskey, and everybody would know this is like Jack Daniels. Okay, that's the most common one. Now, for a bourbon classification, bourbon is made from 100% corn, so there are no other nothing else added. So you know, they use corn, and they use basically malted corn, and malted corn is basically just corn that's germinated and then dried. And the reason that you need the malted corn is when you cook the corn, it releases its starches, but you have to convert the starches then to sugar for the yeast to eat to turn into alcohol. So to get the starches to convert to sugar, you have to add you know, a malted grain in there. And in bourbon's case, it would be corn, to help convert the starches over to sugar. So when the corn germinates, it releases an enzyme called amylase, and that converts that's what converts the starches into sugars, is that enzyme. Obviously, then you add the yeast. You let it sit for a week. The yeast eats all the sugar up, and the byproduct of the yeast eating the sugar basically eats the sugar. It poops out carbon dioxide and alcohol. Now, for Irish whiskey is made from barley. And the reason it is made from barley is, obviously, in Ireland they don't have access to corn. Rye is hard to come by, but they do have access to tons of barley over there. Barley and potatoes are Ireland's 2 major crops. And so Irish whiskey is made from usually 80% barley, and then the other 20% would be a malted barley, once again to convert to sugars. So, like I said, 6 months ago I went ahead and I made some Irish whiskey, some barley whiskey, here at my house. And my wife, for my birthday last year, got me this cool oak barrel. And inside this barrel is full with about almost 2 quarts of 100 proof homemade barley Irish whiskey. Now, I tasted it after I distilled it. I'm a big fan of unaged whiskeys. I prefer to drink American whiskeys unaged. I just like the flavor. You can really taste the corn and the barley and the rye, and that's how I enjoy drinking my whiskey. But I do partake in some, you know, American-style whiskey that's been aged every once in a while. I do not drink bourbon because I got sick off of it when I was a teenager, and I just still to this day cannot stand the taste. So I don't mess with bourbon. I do like Scotch, I do like American whiskey, and I do like Irish whiskey. So what I'm making here is Irish whiskey. The nice thing about this little oak barrel here, and it is charred on the inside as well, so I'm going to get some of that charriness in the flavor. The wood is going to release some caramel and vanilla and woody flavors and just make this taste wonderful. So I tried this barley whiskey I made, the Irish whiskey, unaged, and it tasted pretty good. But I think this is one whiskey that's definitely going to taste better once aged. And getting back to the wood barrel, the great thing about this is, let's just say Jack Daniels, for instance, they will store after they distill their alcohol, they proof it down to 80 proof, which is 40% alcohol. They put it into oak barrels for a minimum of 4 years. They turn it constantly, and it takes a long time. Now obviously this little barrel too, I have to turn. I do this once a week, quarter turn, so it's just getting a full rotate. But because it's such a small barrel, it's getting the alcohol that's in there is getting much more surface contact than say you would with a 500-gallon barrel that Jack Daniels uses. So basically I get for each month that I age in that barrel, I get the equivalent of a 2-year age in a large barrel. So by the time that St. Patrick's Day rolls around, I will have the equivalent of a 5-year aged Irish whiskey. And you know, how cool is it to say that, you know, I've made it myself. So I'm really looking forward to you know, tasting this Irish whiskey. It's been a long time in the making, you know, and looking forward to you know, eating that corned beef too, getting the cabbage out of my garden, and then, you know, as always, those green beers, which I enjoy, you know, quite a bit as well every year. So any rate, DSG Pipe Smoker, I want to say to you once again, congratulations on the 200 subs, brother. You got an awesome channel. I love your videos. Keep them coming. And as always, guys, keep on piping.